Today we're sitting here with Corey Jackson. This is a big one for me because not often you get a chance to actually see somebody develop. It makes me think about bamboo. Bamboo only takes a few weeks to shoot stories high in the air. But what you don't know about bamboo is that it takes up to 5 years to grow the foundation underground. So where you think that there's nothing there, where you think that there's no hope, you think that nothing's happening, you think that it's been watered for so many months, so many days, so many years, and nothing has happened, it's something taking place that we cannot see. It's something happening on the inside. And the moment it breaks soil, it takes no time to take charge of everything that it needs to. And this person that I'm sitting down with today is the epitome of that. Not only did he come from a life of gang trouble, but he also told me that he was personally responsible for turning other people into monsters where he was from. And now he's moved to Philadelphia and to do something drastically different. Not only has he changed his life, but he fought to change other people's lives. He even had one in his own household that has died while he was trying to give life back to people where no one else would want to give hope. Because of that, he was able to move through the ranks of his company and get the upwards of 2 promotions in less than a year, and now I'm working on his 3rd in 2 years. So today we want to sit down and get powerful insight on how do you stay positive in troubling times with Corey Jackson. Corey, I don't even know where to start at, whether we start with accomplishments or we start with trouble, where most people are, and hopefully they're looking at this to get out of it. I'll say I'll give you the floor. I know there's a couple things I want to talk about. What do you do right now? Not for a living, but what do you do that got you to where you are, and then also the things that you was able to make it through. So the floor is yours on wherever you want to go. What do you want to give people?
Well, what I do is kind of the same thing as my job. You know, it's just kind of the same answer. The goal is to save lives, as many lives as possible, in a short period of time. You know what I mean? I just really care about saving lives. I really care about people. I really want to see clients and staff move further than I could even imagine that I can.
So what do you do for a living?
Well, right now I'm the supervisor of the halfway recovery house for 1 day at a time. And basically what I do is I give people the motivation and different things that they need in order to stay off of drugs, well, get off drugs, stay off drugs, and get back into the working world and to be successful. I basically just try to motivate people and give them the tools that they need to do that, to stay focused, to not turn back to drugs, to not turn back to illegal lifestyle.
So you said that you use motivation to help them out, but as soon as you said that, I immediately started thinking about something because I practice martial arts, right? And so my instructor says that anytime you practice with somebody that you're trying to develop, they're taking a part of who you are, so you lose it. So you didn't have to go back and practice in order to develop yourself again, because you lose part of your value in the process of pouring life into them. So with you pouring life into people and giving them motivation, what keeps you motivated, and where do you find your motivation?
Well, me being around the positive, clean and sober people and successful people like you and Chris and everybody, that was really my foundation that even got me into this, was the fact that I stayed even when I worked other jobs. I would get off and I would come straight to ODAT just to be around a positive influence and to be around clean and sober people. So it kind of rejuvenates every day. Even when however much I'm putting into it, it's over here rejuvenating. It's recharging. As much as I'm putting it out, it's recharging every day. So it's not even it just comes natural now because of my environment, because I stay in that environment. I don't leave it. I go home and go to sleep, and I still am in that environment at home with my future wife, with everything that's going on around me. My life is recovery, you know.
So you saying that your life is recovery, and you work to help people who are in that situation, but as far as yourself, when you say that, you too had some things that you had to work through as part of your recovery, correct?
Yes.
So what were you dealing with? And then also I know that there was gang life involved, if you want to give us a picture.
Well, that was in Baltimore before I came to Philadelphia. I mean, if you want me to elaborate on that, I mean, you know, I in Baltimore, that's the way of life there. Everybody is in some gang. So it's tough for me. But either way, I'm a blood. There's some mistakes that I made in the past that I definitely wouldn't do again if I had it. But I don't regret it because those are decisions that make me who I am. And I just really feel like now that I'm here, it's buying back time and I'm helping people because I hurt so many people there, families and people, and even down to, like you were saying, to people that I brought into that. I brought people into the gang life, and they have completely went further than me in it, like terribly, and I regret a lot of that. It's tough. I don't try to go back and convince people that to come out here or to do different. But if they ask me about it, then I jump right in because I don't want to force anything on anybody. I came here because I just didn't want to do that anymore. I came here because I didn't want to get high anymore. I didn't want to screw up my life or anybody else's life. I didn't know I wanted to do this. I just knew I didn't want to do that. And it turns out that I'm pretty good at it.
So, being in Baltimore and going through the stuff you was dealing with, I know you say your grandmother was a big part of your life. How do you, because I hear people say that all the time, so how do you do things where you're physically destroying, but at the same time you have somebody like that that's important in your life? Did she like give you balance, or how was that relationship for you?
My relationship with my grandmother was great. I couldn't imagine having anybody love me as much, you know. I was with her since I was 2 weeks old, and she raised me. She was my mom and my pop. She was great. I can't by any means blame any of the things that I did on her. You know what I mean? It was my fault. She tried to keep me away from that, but you know, like kids, the more and more they pull them away from a situation, the more curious they are about it. She was great. She was great. She raised me on a retired teacher's salary. You know what I'm saying? She was awesome. I can't put her in the same conversation as what I did negative at all.
Well, what I can tell you is, I know you said you don't try to push people to come to Philadelphia, but I personally have seen it where you have actually helped people from the place that you were born at and brought them to Philadelphia to help them change their lives around. So I can say that I believe that would be something that, you know, she would be proud of. We all go through stuff, but to be able to get the end goal or destination of making it out of it, I think she would be proud of that. You can tell us quickly, how was the experience for you? Because when you decided to leave and you just packed up, I understand that you said you came to Philadelphia and you just had one bag with you because you thought you would make it back home, right?
Yeah, I lived out of my suitcase. I never unpacked because I was like, I'll be back. I'm just gonna go up here and get fixed. I thought that recovery was like a shot maybe, or you know what I mean, just like they just gonna give me a shot, or they're gonna teach me how to cope with things day to day, and I'll be back. I'm going back home. I think I might be here 6 months or so, and then I'm going back. But at that 6 or 7 month mark is when I realized to go back for what? So many more opportunities out here for success. And I realized that the success wasn't what I thought it was before. You know what I'm saying? I realized that, and I really don't know how to explain what success is. But in Baltimore, success to me was money and items and, you know what I mean, things of that nature. But now it's really what you make it, or what you feel. You know what I'm saying? And I really feel like I've gained a lot more success here than I would have home at any point. Like going back home is it's just terrible there. And I love it here, man. I love Philadelphia. It's the greatest thing ever happened in my life was to come here.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We're happy to have you here also. So I want to ask you something that goes deeper into your story. When you came here to Philadelphia for recovery and you started recovering, there was a period where before you actually had a job, you was working for the company without getting paid for months and was going through problems with where you lived at because you didn't have money to pay the rent, but you would leave and go to work every day. And the landlord saw you do that, but it was hard to explain that you didn't have it because you was looking towards the future. How was that, and what kept you strong in those moments to have something to believe in?
Well, I actually had got a job 21 days after coming to Philly, with a landscaping company. And then when I saw out, because I didn't want to cut grass, I didn't like that. I didn't see it going anywhere. I saw an opportunity to get into heavy equipment operating, and I did that, and that got me to. They took me to the Poconos to work on the mountain to cut these trees out of a place called Bushkill Falls, and I basically lived there for like 2 months. Like I would come home on the weekends, of course, but I was there Monday to Friday. And when I left, when the job was over, and I came back, my job was already filled, so they laid me off. So at that point, it was like I didn't have a job, and at that point, I had already been going to ODAT every day after work, even before the Poconos and all of that. So I kept doing that, just volunteering there. And then I was told to just stay on, who is now the vice president, every day and tell him, I need a job, I want the job, I want the job. You got anything for me? You got anything for me? And I annoyed him to the point where he finally was like, yeah, I got something for you. But when he gave it to me, it was like I had already been working for probably maybe 2 months at that point. And then he was like, all right, you start today. And I still wasn't getting paid. So I worked for free for like 6 months. Actual shift.
So hold on. You worked for free for 6 months, but you was already working there 2 months before he gave it to you. So actually like 8 months. So
yeah.
Almost a year.
Yep.
You was sacrificing, putting time in for that.
Yeah.
Okay,
and throughout the process, my landlord was like, you so far behind on the rent. Like, of course, I had homies back home and certain people who would contribute to get me through certain months. And that of course, I love them for that, but it was like, I wore it out. And my landlord was like, you gotta get out. And at that point, I was still focused that I will get this job. I will get paid. So it was like, you're gonna have to put me out. You're gonna take me to court. So we went to court, and I actually beat it. I won in court. So it bought me another 3 months. And right at that point, at that 3 month mark, I got my first check. When she beat me this time, the landlord won this time, and they were like, you got to get out in 30 days. And I got my first check like the next week after that. You know what I'm saying? Like it was so crazy how it happened. Like now I can actually afford, because I had nowhere else to go. I'm here by myself. You know what I mean? So I was like, now I have an opportunity, and I was looking for apartments and all of that, and I couldn't really find one because nobody was really legal that I was coming to, and I rented a room somewhere through the company, through ODAT, but I had the money to do so, and I started getting paid. They gave me the worst schedule ever. Like, you want the job so bad, because I had annoyed him so much, and he like, all right, you want the job? This is your schedule. He gave me Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 8 at night to 8 in the morning. The worst schedule ever, especially for a guy my age. You know what I mean? Like, no enjoyment. Like, my days were Monday and Tuesday. That was my out days. Nobody partying. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, but I grinded. and then like it was so tough to do that shift. Like I used to come to work with 2 jumbo cups of coffee to try to get me through. I drank so many monsters and it still didn't help. So I started finding places under the camera to take a nap. And then my boss, he said in a meeting one day, like, I know that and with a group full of people, he looking at me only. I know that some people are sleeping under the camera because you know where the camera's at. I'm gonna catch you and I'm gonna fire you. You know what I mean? And then I met my future wife, like maybe a week after he said that, and she talked to me the whole night, every night, to make sure I stayed awake, to make sure I maintained my job. I love her for that, yo. Like real shit. It was, excuse me, but it was
It's all good.
real talk, yo. You know what I'm saying? It helped me a whole lot through. But then, like even with that, I stayed with it, and then it gave me an opportunity to go and work at another site. When I worked at that site, it was still part-time. I had all the parts part-time. I got a full-time position there at the other site, and when I was doing that, am I rambling?
No, you're good.
All right.
You're good.
So when I did that, some things happened. The guy had overdosed on my shift, and I had to hit him with the Narcan. I had to bring him back, and I did that. And then I reported it to my boss at the time, but he didn't report it to our bosses. He kept it a secret. But then our bosses found out about it and suspended him. And when they suspended him, I slid in and was like, look, you know, I like the guy. I don't know what's going to happen with him, but I know how to do the job. While whatever's going to happen while he's out, I can do this. And I did it for a week, and they fired him and gave me the job. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm the supervisor of the halfway house. It was just like being at the right place at the right time every time. It seemed like no matter how tough it was always an end game. You know what I'm saying? It was an end point. The end point was always, I guess, what you would call success or moving forward.
I'm just listening to everything that you just said, and I'm just thinking about how great it is, because you said you don't even know how to explain success, but I think that anybody who's looking at this would agree that what you're laying out is called blueprints and a roadmap, because somebody would say success is the destination. Success is everything that I have at the end point and forgetting everything that took place to get there. And I think that what you're saying right now that people can actually hear is going out on faith and believing in yourself and not letting your circumstances determine what your future is going to be. And I think those things to be able to follow is the definition of success. So fairness, if someone asks you if you know what success is, you can tell them the roadmap to which you're taking. And I believe that it's a great example of it. Because you said that the landlord was about to put you out, and you kept working somewhere where you weren't getting paid. So right until you get to the point where they're threatening to put you out and you're going to court, you could have easily gave up and got a job, or you could have easily gave up and started doing some things that you know. But instead, you did what people call going to the ledge and jumping off and letting the wings spread as they fly. And in the moment where you told that landlord that, you know, you weren't moving in the situation and you know you're going to have that payment, and then they took you to court and you got papers saying that you won, but you stayed in that, and then you received the paycheck, and then they took you to court, you lost, you had the money to produce, whether it was with that person or somebody else. And, you know, jumping off it is major. That's how that thing works, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I at no point, no matter how hard it got, it always seemed to be at the right time. Like when it was looking like it wasn't ready to work, it was like, man, I'm gonna have to go back to the recovery house. You know what I'm saying? It was looking like that at towards the end when I lost in court. I was like, what am I gonna do? Of course, I had built a relationship with everybody in the program that I could have done that. You know what I mean? Because when my girlfriend at the time had overdosed when I was at work and died, uh, Daryl Chapman, he was like, I don't want you standing there for a while. And he made me move back into the recovery house because he wanted me to be around recovery. He wanted me to be around because that was a real vulnerable time for me that I could have relapsed. I was really kind of past that at that point, though. I was, after about 5 or 6 months, I didn't want to get high or drunk anymore. I struggled with not breaking law because I was broke. I really wanted to go out here and put my hands in my pocket. You know what I mean? Like, I really wanted to go rob somebody bad. Because it seems so much easier to just take 5 minutes and rob somebody than to go out here and sell drugs or something like that. But so with that, I knew that I could go back to the recovery house. I knew that I could go back with open arms, and that was like plan B. But I didn't even have to go to that. I didn't even have to do all of that. I had the money to stay out and to keep pushing. And so I love him for that, though. Yeah, to always have a support system like that.
So everything that I'm hearing in your story is how the whole way you persisted through, you were still at the door of failure, or at the door of making a decision that would be good for you, and you kept making the right decision. And in the moment where you were faced with that and making that right decision, something came in to unlock another door for you.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about the time where you actually told me one of the guys that was in the program that you have helped several times over. I remember you telling me that you saw him a few hours earlier, and then it happened to turn nighttime and it was raining. And then somebody held you up at gunpoint. And when they started talking, you realized it was the person that you actually just helped a few hours earlier.
Yeah, that occurred. That occurred.
How was that?
You know, I don't want to, you know, express my feel about that guy. But I just, you know, what was the question again? my mind just went totally, because this guy, I couldn't believe it. Then I saw him again, and I was like, it was like saw a ghost. Like, bro, don't run. That's why I told him, don't run. I tried to stop him with my eyes and my mind, like, don't run. Crazy thing is, he overdosed and died now.
So, thinking about the person, you know, I know he's not here with us anymore, but thinking about the person that you're talking about, something happened before he passed away. You told me that you actually ran into him. And so normally, like, I would like to say something that people normally do. I'll say, if you find $10 on the ground and you ask a nun, what should you do with that money? You can guess what the nun is going to say. If you find $10 on the ground and you ask a thief, what should you do with it? You can guess what the thief is going to say.
Yeah.
So when we call people for advice, we generally call people who will agree with what we're feeling and what we want to do.
Right.
And in that moment where you could have done what you really felt you wanted to do, and probably no one would have blamed you for it, you saw him, and instead of harming him, you allowed him to explain why he did what he did, and still tried to help him out after that, right?
Yeah, I'm not usually the type to be proud of myself about stuff and to boast or anything on that, but I was genuinely proud of myself that day, because and even in the back of my mind, I wanted to hurt him. I wanted to do something to him, but it was just like I at that point I have learned what addiction does. I had learned what addiction does, and I couldn't blame him for that. You know what I'm saying? I just couldn't blame Joe for that. I've seen Joe up and down. You know what I'm saying? I've lived in the same household with Joe, and I've seen his struggle. And I just was like, man, I can't do nothing to this man. He's in his addiction right now. He's in his active addiction, and I just was like, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and let that one slide, and speak with him. I wish I had a chance to speak with him the day before he died, but he was a really good dude, man. He was. He just could never get a hold of this addiction. He just never could. He never could fully get a hold of it. Joe used to be up. I'm talking about up. He could build a whole house. He was great. He had like top jobs being in carpentry, and when he was up, clean cut, fly. all of the nicest stuff. When he was down, man, you'll see him coming down the street with a cart. I saw a Joe come down the street one night with a cart of installation. You know, the installation you put up in the wall. He had like 10 pallets on a cart. I'm like, I felt like that was amazing. Like, where did he get 10 pallets from? But I'm telling you, he was amazing, man. And I mean, it hurts me that he's gone now. But yeah, I really was shocked of my growth at that point. You know what I'm saying? Because that would have never happened back home. Like I really don't want to toot my own horn, I guess, but he would have never even attempted to rob me back home. Like he would have never. That would have never occurred. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
so going off of that personal growth that you just said you realized you experienced at that moment, I realized some personal growth that you have had. I received a phone call from you one day where you told me that your mom was in the hospital because somebody
assaulted her.
Yeah, with a deadly weapon. And if I were to ask you, have you ever held one before, it would be yes. Have you ever used one before? And the list goes on. So, you know, everybody say nobody mess with mom. Even the scariest kid on the block is not going to let you mess with their mom. So how do you know what could have been done in a snap of a finger and you not even be the one to do it, to say, and be able to figure out who did it to your mother, that someone was able to abuse your mom with deadly force and a deadly weapon, and you handle it differently than what you would have?
That I owe all to you and Chris and Mel too. That particular situation, it's no growth that can stop that. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, like, and possibly later in life that I probably could be mature enough to get past that. But at that moment, however much growth I had wasn't enough to stop me from doing something. I had to, you and Chris and Mel, you know what I'm saying, kept it. Yeah.
What was you thinking about, like, as far as the battle goes? So if you're saying that people was there to help you go through it, then you'll hear something good from that. But then you also have your own thoughts that tell you something different when you think about the visualization of seeing your mom. Because I also know she was afraid to be in the house by herself after that. So how are you? And you still had an opportunity to see that person. So what goes on through your mind that someone else can piggyback off of, that can pull them out of a dirty situation when they had the opportunity to make the right decision?
Your surroundings, man. Your surroundings, your influence, your like I said, if it wasn't for the relationships that I had built, you know what I'm saying, I built some really good relationships out here. You know what I'm saying? I met some really good people. And it's not only the fact of meeting these people or building a relationship, it's the trust that I built with them. You know what I'm saying? I trust you. I trust Chris 100%. So it's you can deter me from whatever my mind is thinking, because I know that you know what's best. You know what I'm saying? I know that these people that I'm speaking of have my best interests at heart. And I'm thankful for that, man. Like, it goes with making the right decision on who you let in your life.
Where do you see your future going from here?
Oh man, sky's the limit. The mission isn't over. You know what I mean? It's one thing when when I put a mission in my head, I'm not gonna stop till the mission is over, till I complete the mission. The mission isn't complete yet. You know, the mission is to be director of that. You know what I mean? Mission isn't over. I have ups and downs where days I feel like, forget about it, I'm good, I'm just gonna save lives and stay here, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And the mission isn't over yet. I'm not director yet, so it's not over. You know? I have the ability now and the knowledge to save as many lives as I want. You know what I'm saying? I can save people. I can get people to be 10 times more successful than I ever will be. I can, and I will. You know what I'm saying? It's proven. It's proven that I've seen people become more successful than me already. Off of me motivating them, off of me telling them what's the right thing, pointing them in the right direction. You know what I mean? And the sky's the limit, basically, to answer your question. I don't know what it is. When I came to Philly, I didn't have no plan of doing this. I didn't know what the plan was. The plan was to get clean.
Mm-hmm.
Did that next.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. I don't know what it might be.
So, going off of you saying before, did not know how to explain or how to figure out what success was. After having this conversation, I want to ask you again, if anything else new comes to your mind, what does success mean to you?
I don't know how to put it into words. The grind is never over. So it's like it's not. There's no end game to success. To me personally, that's my opinion. There's no end game. There's no stop at success. The grind is never over, regardless of how much money a person makes or how they might even be the president of a company. And so let's become president of the next company. Let's become the president of the next company. Let's keep going. The grind's never over, man. And that, as long as I'm keep grinding, all the negativity is never even comes to my head because I'm here. I'm going forward. I'm moving. As long as I'm moving in a positive direction, the negativity never comes into my head. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. I guess a best way of success to me, what I have just recently figured that I want to be, I don't want to be anybody's boss. I don't want to be a boss of anybody or of any company. I want to be a leader. I want to lead my clients into success. I want to lead my staff into further than they can ever imagine. You know what I'm saying? I just want to be a leader. I want to be a great leader. And that's it. Maybe that's what success means, leadership.
So, first of all, that's a phenomenal answer, what you just said. And it makes me think about something where they talk about how lions, they enjoy the hunt. They will not attack an animal if it's wounded. And I think about that being all of the problems, the distractions, the person you know robbing you, somebody that you know that you could have found out who hurt your mother. All of these things are the distractions, but you have something bigger than yourself that you're going after. And all I've heard you constantly keep saying is how you can help people and lead people and go bigger than you, better than you, and further than you. And I think that a key for that is always having goals that are bigger than you, just out of reach, so you always have something to keep going for. So I personally think you gave a phenomenal description of what success is. You know, when you think about it in those terms of it, it's like somebody asked me, they said, you know, with everything that you're doing, you're never going to stop even if you get what you want. And it's like, well, what do you want? It's not money that moves you, but you realize somebody that's true into what they want to do, it's the enjoyment of the process. How can you be done the enjoyment of the process? And I think you gave a wonderful answer for that.
Yeah, I don't feel like that I work. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't remember who originally said that, but that when they not lying when they say if you enjoy what you do, it's not work. You know what I'm saying? I get up every day and go do what I love. You know what I'm saying? I don't work for real. You know what I'm saying? I just save lives. When they ask me what I do, I don't really have a job. My job is to save a life.
Yeah. Well, I think we should get you out of here so you can go back to saving more lives. I know I am personally going to go back and watch this interview so I can pick up some things that I probably would have missed by sitting here with you. And I'm pretty sure people at home watching this got a lot out of it. One thing that we didn't really touch on too much is about some things in the past with gang life and stuff like that, and just seeing how you overcame that stuff, how you overcame the passing of your grandmother. You came to Philadelphia with one bag to live out of it, to go back and realize that you would be better suited for life if you stayed in a foreign land and was able to make a home out of it. And now you have it to where you have a platform to be able to provide and help other people. I think that you're on a phenomenal path in life and you've really been using it the right way. So I appreciate appreciate your time, Corey. Thanks for being here with me, bro.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.